Hello. It's Jamie with Soul Heart Entertainment here for ToesDay on the 18th of August. So let's jump right in. In our Soul Heart Entertainment Karmic Soul Reset program, we are discussing prosperity and abundance. And with the climate in what's going on in today's society, the pandemic and quarantine and, tensions about elections, I just wanted to mention really quick that there are definitely ways that toe reading can help relax you. So just keep in mind that your toes and your feet are a fantastic way to stay focused on relaxing, so that in this, in these challenging times, we can stay calm. So let's get started with toe reading. If you guys have any questions, definitely type them in the comments below, and I will get to them. So toe reading is this idea that our thoughts, feelings, and emotions show up the way that our toes do. And so we can physically see in our toes how our thoughts are treating us, or how we're treating our thoughts, as the case may be, what we're focused on, right? And when we're talking about what we're focused on, we're talking about, to me, that means that we're focused on, what we focus on is what we get, okay? So let me rephrase that. When our lives are not reflecting to us the things that we want to see in life, looking down at our toes to see where those subconscious thoughts are holding us in belief systems that may or may not serve us any longer. All our beliefs at one point in time or another have served us, but we may be growing into a state of being that has outgrown some of our beliefs and thoughts and feelings and emotions. So to me, it's really exciting when we can look down and physically see in our toes what kind of things we need to focus on changing. So depending on your goal in life, whether you're looking for more income, whether you're looking for a better love life, whether you're looking for just better relationships in general with either colleagues, clients, friends, family, whatever that looks like, that would be in the relationship category. But it also has to do with that faith and trust toe, which is part of the prosperity and abundance, right? So we can't really have a whole lot of prosperity and abundance without having faith and trust serve us really, really well. So let's get to the actual toe reading. So I'm holding up a toe reading map that I've sort of, I've combined a few different things in here. The elements that you can see, the five of the elements, there are more than 5 elements, but these 5 elements go with each of the toes: ether, air, fire, water, and earth. Then we also have the left foot is our yin self, or our internal self. The right foot is our yang self, or our external self. And then if you see this verbiage right here down the middle, we're talking about this line of the past, and then there's 2 lines of the future, and those are kind of outside of ourselves. So anything that points toward the baby toes, toe-wise, you're talking about future thoughts. Anything that points toward the big toe or toward the center line of our bodies are about past thoughts. So your toe reader will be able to determine what, where your focus is. A good way to look at that is when we're talking about our feelings and emotions. There's a sun glare right across my face. Sorry. But so when our toes are when our feelings are out of alignment, when we're, feeling extreme feelings one way or the other, whether it's extreme happiness or extreme sadness, extreme anger or extreme joy, right? Any of those extremes have a tendency to show up in our toes by way of either focus on the past or focus on the future, as opposed to focusing on the present moment. As you may or may not understand, the best way to stay out of anxiety is to stay in the present moment. Anxiety is the fear of the future. Depression is the fear of the past. The only way to be happy is to be in the present moment, right? So that's just some food for thought as far as the toe reading map is concerned. So when we're looking at the toes, we're looking at which direction the toes face, and specifically the toenail faces, and the padding. So when we're talking about the big toe, we're talking about our destiny or the big picture in our life. When we're talking about the air toe, we're talking about communication or creativity, or sometimes analytical mind shows up in that. When we're talking about the middle toe, we're talking about fire and the way that action or our temperament shows up. When we're talking about the water toe, the ring finger toe, we're talking about relationships. And when we're talking about that earth toe, we're talking about, on the left side, it's faith and trust. On the right side, it's prosperity and abundance. Now, that's the only toe that's different from foot to foot. When we're talking about the left big toe, we're talking about what we view as our internal highest destined path, if you will. When we're talking about the right big toe, we're talking about our highest purpose path in society. Okay, so one is for our internal self and the other is out there in society. Hi. Oh, hi, honey. Thank you for being here. He's so silly. Such a good supporter. Anyway, so in the Karmic Soul Reset program, we're talking about prosperity and abundance this month. So what that means is that when we're looking at our baby toe, we're looking at the earth toe on our right side, okay? So the earth toe on our right side is the toe that shows up. Let's see, I'm gonna pull up a couple of examples. So when I see these feet, I'm looking at feet that are, this person's coming forward really, really strongly. They're fully present. They're really good about being engaged in the present moment at the present time. And when it comes to prosperity and abundance, that baby toe is turning toward the future a little bit. So I suspect that this is somebody who's going to be really good planner, actually. You can see how even the toes are, as far as one isn't much longer, one isn't much shorter than the other. They're all kind of the same plumpness, and all of the toenails kind of are fairly even. I would, that communication toenail is a little bit smaller than some of the others on both feet. A little bit more so on the right foot than on the left foot. So that kind of tells me that they can get into their brains a little bit. They can get in, they have a lot of good internal communication, and then when it comes to external communication, they're a little bit more quiet. Just a tiny bit, though. I mean, it's not something that most people would even notice. You would need a master toe reader to notice that. But you can see how that baby toe, that faith and trust toe, actually, I'm sorry, I thought that was the right toe. The prosperity and abundance toe is straight up. It's I mean, only just the tiniest little bit turned toward the outside. I mean, so little. But, when we're toe reading, we are looking for the fine details of what that looks like. So in this particular case, they have a little bit less faith and trust than they would prosperity and abundance, right? So their faith and trust looks like they're given a lot and maybe not getting a lot. That is the number one sign of somebody who has trouble accepting help, is when that baby toe is sent out and it's not even, if that makes sense. So if you're here and you have questions, definitely type them in the comments below, because I do see the comments and we can talk about any questions that you might have. Today we're talking about prosperity and abundance, and we are gonna look at a couple of super interesting images. Sorry, I'm looking for my, hello, whoever just joined. Let me, right and left, just so that you guys know which one is which, because I know that the images are backwards on the camera on Facebook. But so this is her right foot, and this is I'm gonna fold this picture in half so that it's really, really obvious which toe is that we're looking at. The right toe on this foot. Now on these feet that I was showing you earlier, all of these toes kind of come up. They're a little bit even. No one toe is any bigger or longer or thicker or anything than the other. It's this is a very reliable person. This is somebody that you can definitely count on to be a cheerleader for you, to show up in their own lives, to show up for their family, to show up for anybody else that comes into their life. This person, I'm not saying that they're not that type of person, but they're gonna hold back a little bit more. Now, the spacing between those toes, you can tell that this person needs organization in their life. If things are chaotic and out of control, it's gonna feel so uncomfortable for them. That spacing kind of indicates that need for organization. It also indicates a need to know more information. So they're not gonna be a fast decision maker. This person is gonna be they're going to take a little bit more time when it comes to making decisions. They need to gather all the information before they make that decision. Now, if I were coaching this person and they needed to get into a habit of making faster decisions and coming up with, following their intuition maybe a little bit more, that's where we would work on moving those toes just a tiny bit closer together to where they were. Let me see. This foot right here shows a nice spacing where there's organization. There's obviously an interest in gathering information because there's enough space between the toes. However, they're not going to be quite as rigid in what that information looks like or how much of that information needs to be gathered. The more space between the toes, the more information that needs to be gathered before a decision can be made. Isn't that interesting? Craziness. So fun. All right. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this baby toe and how this baby toe looks, because we're talking about prosperity and abundance today. And when I look at this baby toe, I'm just going to hold it up there and then I'm going to face it toward me so that I can see and kind of talk on the subject. I see that it curves down, and it really, it severely curves down, right? I've said this before this month, but I want to say it again. That kind of indicates a holding on to sometimes the past, because it's curved down. And you can kind of see that it curves down and to the internal side. So it curves down toward the big toe. That indicates that they're stuck in this past behavior, in this past set of expectations and beliefs around what prosperity and abundance looks like to them. So perhaps it is that, mom and dad wanted them to have an office job, and their passion is some sort of travel or, artsy type job. I don't know, I'm just guessing here. But what that's going to look like is a sort of a discomfort around what prosperity and abundance looks like, because they're right now, or when this picture was taken, this person is very much living for others. They're having a little bit of a challenge when it comes right there. It kind of shows up as a corn. So they're having a little bit of a challenge when it comes to trusting their intuition and trusting whatever guidance they're getting from God and their angels and whatever that looks like for you guys. But so because of that, I have a feeling that she followed the career path that her parents set her on, and there's dissatisfaction with it. There's a belief system that she has to work a certain way in order to earn a certain income, in order to provide for her family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it kind of reaches to the floor. It sort of looks like it's grabbing on. It looks, I think of Wow Wow Wubsy when he gets all, I don't know if you guys even know that cartoon. Chaselyn loved it when she was little. So yeah, so that's an interesting image right there. Let's look for another one. Okay, so let's look at this one, because I like how, again, she has very evenly thick toes. They're evenly spaced. So she likes organization. That even space means that they really, really need organization in their lives. Now, one of the things that I do notice, because it's kind of at an angle, I can't see it as well on the right foot as I can on the left foot, but I see that bunion happening right there, right? So let's talk a little bit about the bunion and what it looks like on these specific toes. So the bunion shows up as a little bit of a worry. No, it shows up as a lot of worry. It's holding on to concerns of the past. It's holding on to things that we couldn't fix, that we maybe felt responsible for. If you look at where that lies on this map, you can see that the bunions would show up right in that throat center area, right? And so when I look at the throat area, and it's somewhere between the throat and the heart, right? The throat and the heart is where that bunion area shows up. And so you're talking about somebody who had trouble speaking their truth as a kid. Maybe their parents, children are to be seen and not heard, that kind of thing. And so they have a lot of worries around what that looks like in their life, and what by that I mean what the responsibilities that they're willing to take on. So they probably take on too much responsibility. They probably spread themselves really, really thin. They probably have held on to a little bit of resentment from childhood, and so there's a lot of forgiveness work to be done there. There's a lot of, and what we're talking about right now is that bunion on the right foot. Now, because the toe is swooping upwards, you can kind of see that big toe kind of swoops upwards a little bit. So this is a very optimistic person. This is somebody who's looking forward to seeing things change and seeing things adjust in their life and their world, and they're analytical or creative. Generally speaking, when the communication toe is longer than the big toe, that's somebody who's either analytical or creative, or both. It can look as technical and as logical as math is. It's actually not. It's really, really creative when you get into those genius levels of math. You're talking about somebody who's super analytical and can, grab a problem and kind of rip it to shreds and rebuild it. It's the same thing when it comes to that metaphysical or that metaphorical look of what analysis looks like and what communication even looks like, because to this person, communication is going to be extremely important. That's the external self toe. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because it does kind of stick out. Their big toe does swoop up, so they do have a positive outlook on their future. They have a positive outlook on what is happening. They also have a lot of prosperity and abundance. Now, if you can see, when we're talking about the prosperity and abundance, this toe, the baby toe on the right foot, it kind of bubbles up a little bit. It has a little bit of excess padding. What that typically means is that they're holding on to stuff, actual physical stuff. Now, what that stuff is depends on the person, depends on the circumstances. When I'm in session with somebody, I intuitively kind of tap into their person, if you will, their soul, for lack of a better way of putting it. And I see what that looks like specifically for them. So if we're talking about what that specifically looks like for this person, what we're talking about is somebody who they have a little bit of baggage to let go of, emotional baggage to let go of. They don't have physical stuff as much as the next person might, and they definitely, their toenail shows up straight up and down. For the most part, most of the toes show straight up. There's a little tiny bit of that curve to the outside where the toe might, curve a little bit that way. And so there's future thoughts and future planning, which can be, that's fairly normal for somebody, especially when it comes to that right toe, because we're talking about that external self. So on the outside, they're going to show up as somebody who's a planner because they have these beautifully spaced toes. They are very well organized. They have very clear communication, and communication is particularly important to them. They're optimistic, or they like to come across as optimistic, but they also have this burden of worry across where that toe, where that shows up on this burden of worry. So I suspect that they probably have a little bit of a corn there and a little bit of that bunion, right? So there's a little bit more worry than needs to be there. So that's where we would start with what they're dealing with in whatever it is that they want coaching on. If it's business, if it's getting their business up and running, if it's taking their business to the next level, that's where we would start. We would start with releasing some of the worry and burden from childhood, and then what that has translated to in the here and now, right? Legally, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, so we would take it based on memories that they have, based on theories, and then do some tapping. Have you guys ever done tapping before? Emotional freedom technique. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So that's kind of what that looks like for now. Let's do one more, unless you have any more questions. I just want to look at toenails that are about a year, toes that are about a year apart. So on these toes, I'm looking for my Sharpie again. We have the right and the left, and then we have right and left. I have this person had toe readings done about a year apart. Not quite a year, but it was about a year apart. And so they were in the middle of doing some very solid self-healing work. And so they were looking for toe readings to help them determine where they were on the path, if you will. So this was the first one, we, and I'm going to focus, even though I'm going to show both toes, I'm going to focus on the right toe, or the right foot in general. So you can kind of see that when it comes to destiny, there's a little bit of a curving, but not too much. It's pretty straightforward. Communication is coming pretty straightforward. Actions coming pretty straightforward. And then we get to relationship and it starts to curve down toward the earth a little bit. And then we get to prosperity and abundance. And that curves a lot. And it's also shorter than the rest of the toes. You know, all the rest of these toes are kind of up here. And then this one has kind of, held itself back. So the questions at hand are, what do you feel has been holding you back from following your destined path? And what does that look like specifically related to prosperity and abundance? And how does that relate to your relationship? Because those are the two toes that are really being held back, right? Everything else is pretty straight and pretty, they look pretty flexible. The other two are really kind of crunching down and being held back. So that's what that looks like. Now, I happen to know that she was going through a pretty severe thing, and that a girlfriend of hers had just been diagnosed with cancer right before this picture was taken. And then this is about 8 months later. And you can see that there's, it's interesting because they almost don't even look like the same toes, do they? You can kind of see that there's more bulk that happens there, which, and bulkiness in a toe, especially if I've seen a picture of feet before and after, bulkiness has a tendency to be holding back. Holding on to either verbal, physical, or emotional stuff that we're holding back. So that kind of creates a fluffier toe. Whereas when we're speaking out, when we're verbalizing, when we're taking action, when our relationships are going with the flow, it thins out that toe, and it creates a more fluid or balanced situation. So she had just learned about her female friend. And then on here, it had been several months after that. So several months of nursing her girlfriend, several months of, challenges that were faced in, and probably a lot of biting her tongue, probably a lot of not speaking her truth quite as much as she was used to before. And I mention that because I think that there's a lot of that going on right now in society today in general. So just in order to help with any kind of anxiety or any kind of challenge, or if you feel like you're having to bite your tongue more often than not, the best way is to take a bath. And while you're in the bath, put some essential oil in there, put some salts in there, some Epsom salts, kind of just to let the toxins release from your body, truly be in there and relax for any length of time. And, bath time is fantastic more often than you think you need it. If you think you need it, it's been too long since you've taken a bath. If you desperately need it, oh my gosh, take like 5 baths that same week so that you can just release all the toxins. But, a little drop of whatever essential oil is your favorite is always nice. And then while you're in the bath, get your feet up get your feet up and hold your feet and massage your toes. And just, as you're saying some of your affirmations, to, maybe be grateful. Oh gosh, that's the best thing in the whole wide world. What are you grateful for? So let's say somebody wants to move, okay? They want to move either from their current location, or they want to move into a location that they really, really want to be near. Like I have a girlfriend who is totally a beach fanatic, and she's in a state right now, literally physically living in a state right now that has no water. They have lakes, but they don't have water. They don't have like ocean water, and she's a huge ocean water person. So it's really kind of stifling her in to a certain degree. So one of the best ways that she could pamper herself and take care of herself and make sure that she doesn't lose sight of the vision of her living at the ocean someday is to get in the water, submerge herself, and baby her toes, really give her toes a massage as she's saying, and kind of like daydreaming about being at the beach, about living at the ocean, about, when you do that kind of thing, when you daydream and visualize and envision what you want for yourself, and you're trying to bring it to you, say it in the present tense. So I am living at the beach. I am able to hear the ocean. I am able to see from my balcony, the waves hit the sand. I am able to walk on the sand every day. I am, and you just like get this super, super excited feeling about visualizing it in your head, saying it in that present tense. And I don't know about you guys, but when I do that, I get goosebumps, something fierce. I love doing that. It just makes me so, so, so happy. So when you're in that, again, kind of it goes back to what I said at the beginning of the video, which is that depression is when we're thinking thoughts too much in the past. Anxiety is when we're thinking thoughts that are too much in the future. And happiness is the only thing that we can experience when we're present, when we're fully present. So when you say things that you want in your life and you're focusing on creating new things that you're envisioning, just pretend to be in that daydream for a little while. Say it as if it's happening right here, right now, and you will, and if you're massaging your toes at the time as well, it's even better. But you will find that you manifest things in your life so incredibly fast, you'll be just completely amazed with yourself. So that's pretty much all I have today. If you are interested in getting a toe reading, definitely private message me, Jamie Allen Bishop or Jamie A. Bishop. I'm both people on Facebook. Or message Soul Heart Entertainment. I'm the sole proprietor of Soul Heart Entertainment. If you're interested in doing a party, a gathering, let's say, of women or men or whoever, and you're interested in the party services that Soul Heart Entertainment offers, you can certainly message me about that. All of our parties right now are virtual. Actually, we have done a couple of in-person, masks and all that kind of good stuff, just to accommodate some people that are, fortunately not living in the fear-based concerns, but also being safe, But anyway, so if you're interested in hiring a talent for your private party or event, let me know that too. Again, it's Jamie Allen Bishop with Soul Heart Entertainment. That's my sweet little logo. And I'll see you guys next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Be here or send me questions if you can't be here. See you later. Bye for now.